couple, a peaceful home, and a crime scene that left detective baffled. What really happened to Mr. Casey George and Mrs. Rachel? Welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Gina Nishant, and here we explore the most chilling true crime cases, both solved and unsolved. In today's episode, we are covering the Kirkinvilla case, a shocking crime that changed Mr. Rennie George forever. A tale of murder, redemption, and the question of forgiveness. Starting from the very beginning, the morning of October 7, 1980 began like any other in the sleepy village of Milantakkara near Tiruvalla in Kerala. But for housemaid Gauri, this was no ordinary day. As she stepped into Kirkinvilla, the home of Casey George and his wife Rachel, what she found there sent a cold shiver through her bones. Gauri, terrified and shaken, alerted the police. The news quickly reached the Kerala police, and Assistant Police Superintendent C.B. Matthews received an unsettling call from the Tiruvalla police station. Two found dead in the house, nobody else staying there. A lot of blood in the room. A cop reported everything in detail. Matthews sensed something was wrong. Matthews, a man with years of experience and a reputation for cracking tough cases, knew that this murder was more than it appeared. Immediately, he rushed to the crime scene. When he arrived at Kirkinvilla, a sprawling bungalow in Tiruvalla, he found the bodies of Casey George, age 63, and his wife Rachel, age 56, lying motionless in a pool of their own blood. The crime had occurred the day before, and there were no signs of forced entry. But the scene was unmistakably clear, a double murder. The couple had spent a reclusive life, having spent years working in Kuwait. They were childless, and several relatives were known to have been eyeing their wealth and property. However, the couple had always distanced themselves from family and neighbors. The police found no direct clues, but there were traces of footprints. Strange foreign footprints. It seemed the killer had been wearing shoes that were not available anywhere in Kerala. This was the first piece of the puzzle. The couple had been wealthy, childless, and known to have distanced themselves from their relatives. Was this a robbery gone wrong, or something far darker? As the investigation began, Matthews and his team were under intense pressure. The newly formed CPM government, surviving with the support of the A.K. Antony group in Congress, demanded quick results. The media was relentless in its coverage of the double brutal murder. The Home Minister, P.K. Ramakrishnan, directed the Alappuzha SP, T.P. Gopinathan, to ensure the culprits were caught without delay. Gopinathan promised not to return until the case was solved and set up camp in Tiruvalla to oversee the investigation. C.B. Matthews, who would later become the DGP of Kerala, knew the key to solving this case might lie with one person, Gauri the maid. In the early days of the investigation, she had appeared fearful and reluctant to speak. However, Matthews was convinced she was hiding something. After further questioning, Gauri revealed a crucial piece of information. Before leaving the house, Rachel had told her that Madrasle Mohan, the son from Madras, was expected to visit the couple. This revelation was a turning point. Madrasle Mohan, or we can say the son from Madras. It was the first breakthrough. A relative from Madras. But who? The investigation eventually pointed to one man, Rennie George, a close relative of the couple. Rennie had been living in Chennai for years. Rennie was known to lead a reckless Bohemian lifestyle and had been involved in various criminal activities. He was no stranger to trouble, a man with a dark past. Rennie has fallen into the dangerous world of drugs and crime. But what made him to kill his own kin? Matthew's team, working tirelessly, traced Rennie George's movement to Chennai. There, they discovered the horrifying truth. Rennie and his three accomplices, Ghulam Muhammad, from Mauritius, Gunashekharan from Malaysia, and Kiblo Daniel from Kenya had plotted the murders. They were addicts, desperate for money to feed their addiction, and they had come up with a brutal plan: rob and kill Casey George and Rachel to fund their drug habits. On the night of October 6, 1980, Rennie and his gang drove to Milantakkara, where they beat the elderly couple to death. They ransacked the house, taking money and jewelry, and then tried to cover their tracks, wiping away all evidences. Matthews now faced a difficult task of locating him. At that time, it was difficult to get help from the Tamil Nadu police. So, the job was entrusted to Tiruvalla's Circle Inspector A.K. Achari. It wasn't just the murder that haunted the investigation, but the twisted journey that followed. Achari, eager to catch Rennie, reached out to his friend, actor M.G. Soman, who was a well-known actor from Tiruvalla residing in Madras at that time. Soman, along with the fellow actor Janardhanan, offered their assistance, providing a car and a driver. After a search, Rennie and his 3 associates were finally tracked down to a lodge in Madras. There they found the culprits, cornered and desperate. Although one of them, a Kenyan national, managed to escape, but later he surrendered to the police. The 4 men were arrested and brought to trial. Rennie George, the mastermind, stood at the center of it all. The investigation seemed to have reached a resolution, and the case captured the attention of the entire nation. In the end, the trial resulted in a death sentence for the accused, though this was later reduced to life imprisonment. But the story didn't end there. Rennie George's life took a dramatic turn after his conviction. While serving his sentence, Rennie had a profound personal revelation. On August 15, 1987, during a brief parole, he came to a realization that would forever change his path. He had been living a life of excess fueled by alcohol, drugs and crime, but now he understood that his lifestyle was nothing more than a sickness. Rennie began his journey toward redemption. After serving his time, he became a social worker. He founded Rennie's Children, a shelter for the children of prisoners, and became a preacher, dedicating his life to helping those whom society has discarded. He even started the Prison Fellowship of India in Bengaluru, working tirelessly to support prisoners and their families. In an ironic twist, he had gone from being a man driven by greed and crime to one who now worked to uplift those who had been affected by similar circumstances. He married a nurse named Tina, and together they had a daughter. His life, once dominated with drugs and crime, began to shift. Rennie's transformation earned him widespread recognition. He received the 1998 Citizen of the Year Award from Kiran Bedi and the 2008 Real Heroes Award from CNN-IBN. His story was a powerful argument for those who believed in the possibility of redemption, even for those who had committed the gravest of crimes. His case also became a cornerstone for the anti-capital punishment movement in India, with renowned Justice K.T. Thomas citing it in his advocacy for life sentence over the death penalty. Today, Rennie lives in Kothanur, near Bengaluru, where he continues his social work. He remains a figure of redemption, a reminder that even the darkest paths can lead to light. Reflecting on his past, he says, "I haven't gone back to that house, Karkin Villa, after the investigation. It holds memories that would rather leave behind." As for Karkin Villa itself, the house where the murder occurred, it remained a symbol of tragedy for years. Eventually, it was purchased by Gospel for Asia, an organization led by Bishop K.P. Yohannan. Today, it is the headquarters for the Last Hour Ministry. But for those who knows its history, the ghosts of the past linger in the shadows. The case of the Karkin Villa murders stands as a chilling reminder of how greed, desperation, and how weakness can lead to unspeakable acts. But it's also a story of transformation, a story of a man who, after decades of living a life of crime, found a way to redeem himself and make a positive impact on the world. The Kirkinvilla murders will always be remembered as a shocking crime that shook the community. But in the end, it was a tale of redemption, a life saved, even after it was nearly lost. But it also leaves us with a question. Can someone who has taken another life truly atone for their sins? Can redemption be found after such darkness? I would love to hear your thoughts. Do you believe in the power of redemption? Even for those who had committed the gravest of crimes? Or do you think some actions are beyond forgiveness? Let us know your opinions in the comment section below. Your views could shape the ongoing debate about justice, mercy, and the path to redemption. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories.